What if I told you that the world isn't waiting for you to succeed? It's waiting for you to believe. Because no matter how much you want it, no matter how deeply you crave change, you will never rise above the level of your self-belief. Not for long. The mind is not your enemy, but it is your mirror. It will not deliver what you ask for. It will deliver what you expect. And if deep down you expect to fall short, if your default setting is not enough, then no strategy, no secret, no success book can save you. You will find a way to return to your baseline, to sabotage the opportunity, to justify the failure, to say, see, I knew I couldn't. But if you truly begin to act as if success is inevitable, if you start walking, talking, and breathing like you were born to win, that belief becomes a magnet, a gravitational force. It pulls the people, the resources, the timing, all of it into your orbit. Because the universe doesn't align itself with the desperate or the doubtful. It aligns with the certain. And certainty, that deep bone level, non-negotiable certainty, only comes from one place: that decision. Not a wish, not a New Year's resolution, a real decision, the kind that burns the boat, severs the exit route, and locks the door behind you. This is the beginning of success, acting like it's already yours. Think of the legends. Thomas Edison didn't just hope the light bulb would work. After 1,000 failures, he knew it would. He acted like it was inevitable, because to him, success wasn't a matter of if, it was just a matter of when. And that belief, that identity, shaped his reality. When Walt Disney looked at miles of Florida swamp, he didn't see mosquitoes and marshland. He saw a castle. He saw a kingdom. And more importantly, he walked through it in his mind long before it was real. That's what vision does. It makes the invisible visible. It gives shape to the future before the world is ready. And the world will never be ready. That's not his job. His job is to doubt. You test, you break you, and watch what you do next. The question is not whether the world believes in your dream. The question is, do you believe enough to act like it's already done? Because until you do, your feet will hesitate, your voice will tremble, and your actions will always betray your inner uncertainty. But once you flip that switch, once you decide that failure is not an option, that you will either win or become the person who does, your entire world starts to move. Slow at first, then all at once. That's how success works. It's not linear, it's not logical, and it's not fair. But it is predictable. Because success doesn't come to the talented, it comes to the committed. The world is filled with gifted people who live in quiet regret. Why? Because they never made the shift from wanting to expecting, from I'll try to I am. They waited for approval, waited for evidence, waited for the right mood, bored, the right motivation. But the greats, the Edisons, the Fords, the Disneys, the Oprah Winfreys of the world, they didn't wait. They moved. They acted before they were ready. They leapt before the bridge was built. They decided, and then they built a life to match that decision. That is how greatness is created, not in the comfort of clarity, but in the chaos of commitment. The moment you decide that success is inevitable, your behavior changes. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop justifying average. You stop asking the world for permission to be extraordinary. And suddenly the habits you use to resist waking up early, practicing discipline, taking massive action, they become natural. Because they're no longer things you're forcing. They're part of who you are. That's the secret. Identity creates destiny. Not goals, not dreams, not even talent. Identity. You become what you believe you are. And most people, they never upgrade their identity. They cling to the version of themselves that was shaped by pain, rejection, fear, and failure, never realizing that who they were is not who they're required to be. But you have a choice. You can write a new script right now, in this moment. You can decide that you are not a person who tries, you are a person who wins. You are not someone who hopes, you are someone who acts. You are not someone who waits, you are someone who creates. And when you act like success is inevitable, you don't get caught up in doubt. You don't second guess your worth. You don't beg life to be easy. You become the person success cannot ignore. And yet most people will never do this. Not because they can't, but because they won't. Because deep down, mediocrity is comfortable. It's safe. It doesn't demand risk. It doesn't require rejection. It doesn't ask you to fail in public, to look foolish, to try and fall on your face. And so they settle. They rationalize. They tell themselves stories like, I'm doing okay, or maybe next year. They wear humility like a disguise for fear. They call their small life realistic and then wonder why they feel empty. But the truth is they never gave themselves permission to believe. So I'm asking you now, what would happen if you did? What would your life look like if you started walking like a leader, speaking like a winner, moving through your day as if success wasn't a dream, but a destiny? What if the version of you you've been waiting for is already here, just buried beneath excuses, hesitation, and fear? What if the moment you decide, really decide, everything changes? Because that moment is here, and it begins the second you act as if success is inevitable. Success is not a finish line. It is not a trophy, a title, or a bank balance. It is a standard, a level of living, thinking, moving, and it's reserved for those who refuse to entertain anything less. It begins in the silence of your decisions, in the thousands of unseen moments when no one is watching and no applause is coming. Success is built in the mundane, in how you show up on the days when nothing feels exciting and everything feels heavy. Anyone can be committed when it's easy. Anyone can dream when the sky is blue. But the ones who win really win are those who stay relentless in the storm. Discipline is their language, resilience is their native tongue, and repetition is their religion. They don't get ready, they stay ready. They don't wait for motivation, they manufacture it through motion, because the successful understand something average minds will never grasp. The life you want isn't something you chase, it's something you build. And you build it brick by brick through relentless habits, unshakable identity, and a belief system that refuses to accept defeat. Picture this. It's 4 a.m., the world is asleep, but a man is lacing up his shoes in a cold garage sweatband. On focus, locked in. He's not rich, he's not famous, but he's already successful. Why? Because his habits reflect who he believes he is. He doesn't need external validation. He doesn't need an audience, because in his mind, the only mind that matters, he's already there. And here's the key. When you start living as if you've already arrived, the world begins to treat you like you belong. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's not delusion, it's design. This is the law of identity. You will never outperform the image you hold of yourself in your mind. So if you want to change your life, change your internal vision. Don't beg for results, become the result. And here's where most people break. They confuse confidence with evidence. They say, once I succeed, I'll believe. But it doesn't work that way. You don't believe after the victory, you believe before it. You don't walk tall once the crown is placed on your head. You walk tall so the world knows it already fits. Muhammad Ali didn't wait until the world called him great. He said, I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. That's how champions are born, not through proof, through conviction. You have to believe when no one else does. You have to move when no one else agrees. You have to act as if the future has already been written in your favor, and all you have to do now is catch up to it. But let's get real. There will be moments when your belief wavers, moments when the voices of the world are louder than the voice inside, moments when it feels like nothing is working, no one understands, and the dream is fading fast. This is where most retreat. They interpret resistance as failure. They confuse delay with denial. But the truth is, every storm is a test. And the question is not, can you push through it? The question is, can you remain yourself in the face of it? Can you stay aligned with the person you say you are? Can you hold the image even when the world gives you every reason to lower it? That's what separates the uncommon from the common. Anyone can hold belief in the sunshine, but only the elite can carry fire through the darkness. Think of Abraham Lincoln, years of failure, countless losses, and ridicule that would have broken most men, but not him. He carried the vision. He wore the weight. He believed in the future more than he feared the present. Or consider J.K. Rowling, rejected by 12 publishers, broke, depressed, alone. But the image in her mind was clear. She wasn't just writing a book, she was building a world. And she acted like that world already existed. This is the power of vision, plus identity, plus action. This is what makes the impossible inevitable. So what do you do now? You begin. Right now, you don't need more advice. You don't need another plan. You don't need permission, approval, or applause. You need only one thing, a decision. A final, non-negotiable, set-in-stone decision that this is who you are now, and that you will show up accordingly. Every single day, no matter what, as if success is already written in the pages of your life and you are now stepping into the role you were always meant to play. Stop walking like a maybe. Stop talking like a question mark. Stop thinking like someone waiting for validation. Walk like it's done. Talk like you've arrived. Think like the person who already lives the life you dream about. Because belief is not passive, it is active. And when belief is married to motion, when it shows up in your habits, your posture, your tone, your intensity, the world starts to move for you. Act like you are the best. Because deep down, you already know that you are. You don't need to prove anything to anyone but yourself. But you do have to prove it every day through your actions. Success doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be aligned. So from this moment on, ask yourself, is this thought aligned with my highest identity? Is this action aligned with the future I'm building? Is this version of me the one who wins? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. Recalibrate, refocus, reclaim the standard, because the world will not hand you the life you want, but it will respond once you act like it's already yours. Let's talk about pressure. Most people run from it. They see pressure as a warning sign, something dangerous, something to avoid. But the successful, they lean into it because they understand something the rest of the world forgets. Pressure isn't the enemy. It's the birthplace of power. Pressure reveals who's pretending and who's preparing. It separates the ones who talk from the ones who train. Diamonds aren't born in comfort. Steel isn't forged in safety. And neither is character, discipline, or greatness. So if you feel the weight right now, good. That's the signal. That's the test. It means you're getting close to the next level, close to the version of yourself that no longer breaks under fear, but bends it to your will. This is the moment where most people give up, and the few who succeed double down. They don't shrink, they expand. They don't run, they root themselves deeper. They rise. Because they've trained their mind to expect growth through friction, and they've trained their emotions to obey their vision, not their feelings. Listen carefully. You will not always feel confident, but you can act like confidence is already yours. You will not always feel brave, but you can move like courage is in your bones. You will not always feel clear, but you can decide like your path is lit with purpose. That is what it means to act as if success is inevitable, not waiting until the world confirms your worth, but behaving in a way that demands it, not hoping someone believes in you, but becoming so convicted that belief becomes contagious. You don't build a life of success by reacting to your circumstances. You build it by commanding them. And the most powerful way to do that is to train your subconscious to follow your conscious will. Because your subconscious does not care what's true, it cares what's repeated. Feed it fear, it will find reasons to retreat. Feed it belief, it will look for proof that you're unstoppable. This is what Napoleon Hill meant when he wrote, "What the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve." Not occasionally, not sometimes, but always. So here's your task. Become a sculptor of your own mind, not once, every day. You must consciously, relentlessly, repeatedly install the identity of the person you wish to become. Every affirmation is a brick. Every visualization is a beam. Every disciplined action is another nail. in the structure of your destiny. But remember, identity is not built through theory. It is built through evidence. You can't just say, I'm focused and then scroll for 2 hours. You can't declare, I'm a leader, and then hide from hard conversations. You can't claim, I'm meant for greatness, and then shrink every time resistance shows up. Your actions must mirror your declarations. Your habits must echo your vision. Your decisions must be dictated by your future, not your feelings. That is how identity sticks. That is how belief hardens into reality. That is how you become the kind of person who never asks, can I succeed? Only, how fast can I close the gap? Think of it like this. If you woke up tomorrow with the absolute belief that success was inevitable, how would you behave? Would you keep tolerating excuses? Would you keep entertaining distractions? Would you keep feeding habits that don't serve you? No. You'd move differently. You'd plan with precision. You'd speak with clarity. You'd train like a warrior on a mission. And that is exactly what you must start doing now, not someday. Because the more you live in alignment with the version of yourself that wins, the less energy it takes to become that person. Soon, it's not a performance. It's not a trick. It's you. And that's when success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Here's the trap. Most people never last long enough to reach that shift. They want the outcome, but not the identity. They want the harvest, but not the planting. They want the crown, but refuse to carry the weight. They dabble. They sample. They see how it goes. But success doesn't respond to dabblers. It responds to those who show up day after day after day, as if it's already theirs. Those who carry themselves like the result is a foregone conclusion. Those who refuse to let the scoreboard define the standard. Those who declare through every fiber of their being, I am not leaving until this is mine. Not in arrogance, in certainty. Not in ego, in identity. That's what separates the average from the iconic. So today, right now, you must decide, will you keep living like someone who's hoping for a breakthrough? Or will you rise and act like someone who expects it? Because whether you believe it or not, life is always watching. Your habits are your vote. Your discipline is your resume. Your daily execution is your testimony. And the moment you act as if success is inevitable, not occasionally, but consistently, the world starts moving for you in ways you can't even see yet. Doors begin to open. People begin to notice. Opportunities start to form, not by luck, by alignment, because the world reflects the standard you hold for yourself. And the only question that matters is, what standard are you about to set? The standard you set becomes the ceiling you live under. Set it low, you'll stay small. Set it high and watch the world rise to meet you. But here's the secret no one tells you. It's not the external standard that changes your life. It's the internal one. Because when you raise the standard inside your mind, when you demand more from yourself in silence and solitude, in the shadows, the outside world has no choice but to respond. This is the law of congruence. Life cannot give you a level of success you don't first accept as normal. So ask yourself, what are you tolerating right now that your highest self would never allow? What habits are you excusing that the next level version of you would crush? What small compromises are quietly killing your greatness? Now decide that they end here. Draw the line, raise the bar, step into the identity of the person who refuses to live below their calling, and then act like your future depends on it because it does. There is no shortcut. There is no magic. There is no perfect time. There is only you deciding right now that from this moment forward you are done playing small. You are done dimming your light to make others comfortable. You are done shrinking your voice, doubting your value, and waiting for permission. No more. You were not born to blend in. You were not built for average, and you were never meant to go to your grave with your greatness still inside you. That burning vision you have, it was planted in you for a reason, not as a decoration, as a direction. It is your soul pointing you to the life you were designed to create, but it won't come find you. You must build it. You must walk toward it. You must act like it's already yours every day, in every way, until there is no longer a gap between the life you live and the life you dream about. You want clarity move. You want confidence act. You want change decide. Everything you seek is on the other side of motion. And that motion must come from belief, not just belief in the outcome, but belief in who you are becoming. Because the truth is, you don't get what you wish for, you get who you are. And when your identity is forged in fire, in daily effort, in relentless consistency, in quiet ownership, the results become inevitable. They have to, because your entire being begins to vibrate at the frequency of success. You're no longer faking it, you're becoming it. And when your thoughts, habits, emotions, posture, decisions, and expectations are all aligned with success, it stops being a goal. It becomes your new baseline. So remember this. There is no one coming to save you. No mentor, no book, no course, no strategy will override your lack of belief. But the moment you choose to believe not with emotion, but with execution, the world shifts. Not because it got easier, but because you got stronger. Not because the obstacles vanished, but because you finally stopped seeing them as threats and started seeing them as proof that you're on the right path. Every challenge is feedback. Every delay is refining you. Every rejection is redirection towards something greater. That's how winners think. That's how champions move. That's how visionaries keep showing up long after others have quit. Because they're not reacting to the scoreboard, they're responding to their standard. So, if today is hard good, that means you're building something real. If you're tired good, that means you're pushing past your limits. If you feel alone good, that means you're ahead of the pack. If you feel the resistance good, that means you're facing the right direction. But above all, if you're doubting yourself, remember this. Doubt only shows up in those who are still trying. The ones who've quit don't feel doubt, they feel regret. And regret is the cost of inaction. Regret is what you carry when you don't move. Regret is the echo of the person you could have become, but didn't. So feel the doubt, but move anyway. Feel the fear, but act anyway. Feel the pressure, but rise anyway. Because that is the cost of success, and it's always worth it. In the end, the world will not remember what you plan to do. It will only remember what you did. So what will you do now that you know? Now that you've heard the truth that success isn't reserved for the chosen few, it's claimed by the committed. Now that you understand that acting as if success is inevitable isn't arrogance, it's alignment. Now that you know you can rewrite your identity not by words but by action, will you continue to wait, or will you wake up every day and carry yourself like the person you were born to be? Because if you do, if you move, speak, think, work, and live as if success is already written into your future, you'll realize something powerful. You weren't chasing success. You were just remembering who you've been all along, and finally acting like it. But even once you've decided, once you begin to carry yourself as if success is your shadow, you will encounter the one enemy most people never see coming. Distraction. Not failure, not rejection, not even fear, but the subtle, seductive drift of distraction that pulls you off course, not with force, but with comfort. You won't notice it at first. It starts with, I've earned a break, I'll do it later, this can wait, and then suddenly momentum is gone. The fire cools, the urgency fades, and that version of you who once walked like a storm has become quiet again. This is how the average die not in one moment of collapse, but in 1,000 moments of delay. The greatest threat to your destiny is not defeat, it's drift. The world is full of talented people who got distracted, smart people who got scattered, potential giants who never failed. They just looked away too long. And so if you truly want to live as if success is inevitable, you must protect your focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. You don't owe anyone your attention. You don't owe anyone your energy. You don't need to explain why you're unavailable to mediocrity. Lock in. Obsess with intention. People will call you intense. Let them. They called Edison insane. They called Jobs arrogant. They said Oprah was too emotional. They said Elon was too unrealistic. But history has never remembered the critics. It only remembers the creators. And every creator who's ever changed the world had one thing in common. They disconnected from the noise to build the signal. So disconnect, not from life, but from everything that is not aligned with who you're becoming. Because you cannot rise while clinging to what keeps you grounded. Let's go deeper. When you act as if success is inevitable, it doesn't mean you expect a life without friction. It means you meet friction with faith. Faith that your steps mean something even when results are invisible. Faith that progress is happening even when it feels slow. Faith that the seed will sprout even when the soil is silent. You water the dream. You feed the belief. You keep showing up not because it's working, but because you've already decided it will. This is what the world doesn't understand. Winners keep building when it looks like nothing is happening. They don't wait for signs. They become the sign. They don't pray for proof. They act like the proof is already written. That's how mountains are moved, one invisible inch at a time by someone who didn't flinch. Now understand this success isn't only about you. It's about what wakes up in others when they see you live fully aligned. When you walk into a room certain of who you are, when you move with integrity and speak with fire, you give permission to others to raise their standard too. You remind them what's possible. You shatter their excuses. You become a living mirror of what it looks like to believe before the world gives you a reason. In this world, it doesn't need more talkers. It needs examples. So be one. Be the one who breaks the cycle. Be the one who moves different. Be the one whose existence is a quiet revolution. You don't have to yell. You don't have to fight. Just live your truth with such clarity, such discipline, such unwavering faith that it becomes contagious. Because legacy is not built in speeches. It's built in standards. So now we arrive at the final question, the one that separates those who wish from those who become. Can you persist long enough to become unrecognizable? Can you stay consistent through obscurity? Can you stay humble in victory? Can you stay relentless when no one claps, no one calls, and nothing feels certain? If the answer is yes, then it's no longer a matter of if you'll succeed. It's only a matter of when the world realizes it. And when it does, when the results show up, when the doors swing open, when the spotlight finds, you don't act surprised. You knew this was coming. You acted like it every day. You built it with your hands, your heart, and your habits. This was never luck. This was inevitable. Because you decided it would be. Final closing line. And now it's your turn, not to wish, not to wait, but to walk forward like the path is already paved. Because when you act as if success is inevitable eventually, it is.